So Palworld recently came out on the PS5, and like the madman I am, I wanted to get the Platinum Trophy. So Palworld is a relatively straightforward game, which consists of the Platinum Trophy, then it consists of 4 gold trophies, 14 silver trophies, and 13 bronze trophies. So in total, there are 32 trophies in Palworld, and just a little fun fact, I was actually the 37th person in the world to get this Platinum Trophy, so I thought that was pretty cool. So as soon as you click Start Game, it's going to throw you into this character customization screen where you get to choose between a girl or a boy and customize this Tarzan-looking person, and then it throws you into the hair screen, and honestly, all the options were pretty terrible, so I ended up just going with this one because it was the least terrible. All right, so we got our character ready, and now the first thing that the game shows you is Dumb, Dumb, and Dumber. So these are like the 3 starters, or kind of the 3 starters. You see them at the beginning of the game, so they're like the 3 main guys that are kind of very common at the beginning. And then the game shows us this tablet that says the towers are the key, the tree holds the truth, whatever the heck that means. So we pick up the tablet and we go on our way. So the game instantly spits you out in an area that looks like this, and my first impression was, what the heck, this is literally Zelda. But anyways, then I interacted with this fast travel point, and that essentially gives me a place on my map where I could fast travel back to. So then the first thing I did was turn my camera to the right, and I saw this guy sitting by a campfire. So I instantly just started beating the out of him. And that probably wasn't my smartest idea because the dude had a gun and he took care of me real quick. So then this little sheep dude started attacking me, so I figured I would attack him back to just kind of get a feel for the game and see what's up. I gotta say, beating up pals is pretty crazy. I guess I'm just used to Pokemon, but anyways, I decided to leave this guy alone because I kind of started feeling bad. Leaving him alone ended up to be a mistake though, because then he tried attacking me while I was farming some stone. Then I stumbled upon one of those chickens whose name is Chickapee, and I just started swinging on him, man. I was taking my anger out for not finishing that sheep, and upon killing him, it dropped an egg and some chicken poultry. So then I started farming some wood by punching this tree, and eventually I got enough wood to build my first crafting bench, which was called the Primitive Workbench. At the Primitive Workbench, you can craft a wooden club, a handheld torch, a stone pickaxe, or a stone axe. I decided to craft a stone pickaxe first because this item lets you get stone by hitting stones, and I also figured it would be the strongest item for protecting myself against pals. So then I wanted to start catching some Pokemon, I mean pals. So I got the ability to craft the Pal Sphere, and essentially that required me to start farming some materials to be able to craft. So that's exactly what I did. So I was finally crafting my first Pal Sphere, and let me tell you, it felt so nice to hold this thing in my hand in the game. It just felt so smooth, and when I finally threw it, it just felt so right. So the way I went about catching my first pal was to damage it a lot, because that is kind of similar to Pokemon. It makes the catch rate easy, so 100% catch rate, and this led to our first trophy, Beginning of the Legend, Caught First Pal. So after that, I kind of went hard with catching a lot of pals, and I found out online that if you catch 10 of each pal, you get a huge XP bonus. So I was doing that for every pal I ran into, and my pals leveled up a lot. And then when I was catching this guy, I popped a trophy for catching 10 different kinds of pals. Next to do was to craft the Pal Box and create our base. So the Pal Box is basically like the PC machine in Pokemon where you can store Pokemon, and then also you can place them in your base. And once your base is more established, you can have them work for you and craft stuff. When you place your Pal Box down, it also creates this big blue circle, and your base is basically within that circle, and within the circle you can build crafting benches and all that stuff. So now that I had my base built, I was able to build my first crafting bench, which was the Sphere Workbench, which basically enabled me to be able to make better spheres for catching pals that had better catch rates. Now that I had better spheres, I decided to go back into the wild to catch more pals and chase more trophies. So I saw this one flying above my head, and his name was Nightwing, and he was actually a very easy catch now that I had this Gigasphere. And when I caught him, I got my trophy for catching 20 different kinds of pals. The cool thing about Nightwing is that I was also able to craft a saddle for him, which let me ride him, which made the game exploration so much more fun, just being able to like fly around and see things from high above. Now that we're over leveled, I decided to take on the first tower boss, and also I crafted this bow, which hopefully should help me beat the boss. By the way, there are 6 tower bosses, and they get progressively harder as you go on. Alrighty, so here's the first boss. Her name is Zoe, and then her pal is Grisbolt. I was nervous for this at first, but then I realized I'm like super overpowered, so it should be fine. But yeah, here's how it went. So that's Grizzbolt. I'm not gonna lie, he looks pretty cool, but I hit him with a little bow right there. And I actually crafted a really good shield, so he really wasn't too much of a threat to me. Although this move right here was, it wasn't hard to dodge, but you know, kind of just keep walking and you know, you'll be fine. So I threw out Nightwing right here to kind of just help me deal out some extra chip damage, which may not have been the smartest idea of mine because Nightwing is weak to electric since he's a flying type. But really, he did the job, and he caught Grizzbolt's attention, which enabled me to kind of just keep spamming out arrows. So it all worked out. Grizzbolt is dead, and there's our trophy for our first boss kill. Hell yeah, let's freaking go. After killing the first boss, I ended up in the desert where I found this merchant who had an awesome item for sale. He was selling a gun called the musket. So you already know I bought that because a gun is way better than a bow and arrow. So this is what it looks like when it's equipped, and this is what it looks like when it shoots. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this thing works out. And what better way to test out my brand new toy than to take on the second gym leader. This is Lily and her partner is Lylene, and they gave me trouble at first. I actually died one time on them, but this is kind of how the fight went. So first, she shot me with some dirty water, so I went ahead and shot her right back. And then she didn't learn the message, so she shot me with some more dirty water, and I went ahead and shot her right back again. With my brand new weapon, this made this fight really easy, and I was able to pick up my second trophy for killing a boss. I figured I may as well go ahead and do the third boss, so I did just that. This is Axel and Orsurk, and he was pretty easy, and I finished him off with no problem. I also forgot to mention, right before I fought that third boss, I caught this really cool bird-looking Pokemon. That was a genuine mistake. But when I caught him, I got my trophy for catching 50 different kinds of pals. Galeclaw is also super cool because if you have him in your party with you, you can craft an item that lets you glide with him when you double jump, and it's actually the fastest way to glide in the game. Now that I beat 3 tower bosses, I figured it's probably time for me to start working on my base a little bit more. So I farmed for hours getting brand new, crafting materials and all that. So I got some sulfur, I got some ore, and I got some pure quartz. So this is what my base is looking like now, and as you can see, it looks awesome. I did a big circular perimeter, and I caught a lot of awesome new pals, which I will show you soon, and they're all working and crafting for me, which is so cool. So I was also able to get brand new crafting stations. So this is the weapon assembly line, and as you can see, you can craft a lot of very awesome weapons here, and this helped me out a lot, as you'll see later in the game. And then also I was able to get the brand new sphere assembly line, which also enabled me to be able to get balls or spheres that had really high catch rates. So this helped me catch a lot of end game mons, or pals, I should say. Next up, I decided to get the fourth boss out of the way. This was Marcus and Phalaris, and he wasn't too hard. I used a mix of my musket and my bow, and my pal actually ended up finishing him off, so that was perfect. Now that we have killed 4 bosses, I figured it was time to craft a better weapon. So I was finally able to craft the assault rifle, which is such an upgrade from the gun that I was using. This thing is fully automatic and it shreds through literally anyone or anything. Now that we had a super overpowered weapon, I figured it was time to knock out the last 2 bosses. So this was Victor and Shadowbeak, and they were really easy to beat with the assault rifle. So there is our 9th trophy. And then the next boss was Saya and Celine. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And they were also super easy, and that gave us our 10th trophy and finished up the boss fights for us. So the next trophies I want to go after are the ones for catching 90 different kinds of pals, and then the one for catching 140 different kinds of pals. So the best way to do this is just explore the map as much as you can and try to find a bunch of new pals, and that is exactly what I did. Now, these trophies were not easy. They took me many days. However, it was really fun, and we encountered a lot of cool pals. Here are some of the cooler pals that I caught on this journey. The first one was called Yormantide, and he is a sea leviathan. He's almost like Gyarados, but honestly, I think he's cooler than Gyarados. Now, the catch rate in Palworld is actually pretty hard, which makes it really fun. It's like how catching legendary Pokemon used to be when it was actually hard to catch them. But after several tries, we managed to secure him. Some other awesome pals that we caught were Anubis, who is like the Egyptian Ra type pal, and then also Astagon, who is like this giant fiery magma dragon. But finally, after several days of playing the game, we managed to pick up the Catch 90 Types of Pals trophy, and also the Catch 140 Types of Pals trophy. Now it's time for the most fun part of the game, which is catching the legendary pals. The first one is Jet Dragon, and he can be found at the top left of the volcano part of the map. For these legendaries, you're going to want to make sure you have a lot of legendary spheres because they are hard to catch. So we're slowly approaching Jet Dragon here, and I made sure to come prepared with a lot of legendary spheres, and I'm just going to go ahead and shoot him right from my flying mount. And at first he didn't even recognize me at all, but now he did. So I'm just going to hop right off, mess him up, dodge some of his attacks, and try our best. This man just kept throwing so many attacks at me, but he was pretty easy to defeat with the assault rifle. And guys, do you think he looks like Salamence? Because I kind of feel like he looks like Salamence. I got extremely lucky and actually caught him on my very first ball, which was unheard of because it's a 2% catch rate, and then it goes to 13% and 44. So I got really lucky getting that on my first try. And there's our trophy for catching a Jet Dragon. The next legendary on my radar was Frost Stallion. This is an ice type that can be found at the northernmost part of the map. Now that we had Jet Dragon, we were actually able to maneuver around the map really quick, and it made the game so much more fun. As we approached Frost Stallion's habitat, I used my Jet Dragon to use missile launchers against the Frost Stallion, which was actually pretty cool because we were able to knock it unconscious and I was able to deal some damage to it. That must have made Frost Stallion mad because it started to retaliate back by freezing me, and then I had this perfect dodge right there. Then I ran out of ammo on my assault rifle, so I figured I would just start chucking balls at it, but that didn't work because it kept breaking out ball after ball after ball. So I decided to equip my musket that we made earlier in the video and damage it a little bit more, and that ended up working because I was able to get a higher catch rate by doing more damage to it. And that was a good plan because after throwing around 5 or so more balls, we finally caught it and we got our 14th trophy for catching a Frost Stallion. Before going after my next legendary, I wanted to go after a quick miscellaneous trophy real quick for obtaining 255 Lifmunk effigies. Now these are these little green items that you see right here, and you can use them to power up your capture rate. So it gives you a better chance to capture Pokemon pals. I keep messing up. Pals. It gives you a better chance to capture pals. The best way to get this trophy is to wait until it's nighttime, because when it's nighttime, the screen is dark and these things shine bright green and they are way easier to see. So this trophy took me around 4 hours of farming to get. I did it over the course of several days, but yeah, it took around 4 to 5 hours of just farming at night and hunting these bright green things. So the next legendaries are Palladius and Necromus. Now this fight is a bit interesting because it's a double boss fight and they can both be found at the top part of the map in the desert area. So it took me a minute to find them, but I gotta say, man, these designs are really cool. And for people that are saying this game is just like Pokemon, I know I've been joking a lot, but I actually think the designs are honestly nothing like Pokemon. So they quickly started to attack me, and this fight was a bit harder than the other ones since it was 2 legendaries, but my tactic was basically to just dodge their attacks, weaken them both, and chuck balls at both of them. I threw a ball at Necromus first, and I was really surprised once again because I caught it on my first try and popped the trophy for catching a Necromus. Now that Necromus was gone, it was a bit easier to focus on Palladius, or however you say his name. So all I did was dodge some more of his attacks, whittle his health bar down a lot, and start chucking spheres at him. Palladius broke out of my first Pal sphere, but on my second one, he actually stayed in it, and I managed to catch him, my final legendary, and get the trophy for catching a Palladius. Now that we have the bosses and the legendaries out of the way, I wanted to get into some miscellaneous trophies and just start knocking them out. So the first one was for catching a human, which is so funny that you can do in this game, and I actually got this one more towards the beginning of my playthrough. The humans usually have kind of low catch rates, but if you have better balls, then you'll be fine. Next was to maximize the rank of a pal and also to maximize the rank of 5 pals, which can be done at this machine right here. Maxing the rank of a pal is pretty easy. You just have to catch a total of 116 copies of the same pal, and then you just have to have a pal commit cannibalism and eat every single copy of that pal. I don't have the clip of me doing this, but I did it once and got the trophy for maximizing a pal, and I got the trophy for maximizing 5 pals. Then we picked up 3 quick trophies for crafting 2,000 spheres, crafting 10,000 ingots, and crafting 20,000 ammo. All of these crafting trophies can be done really quick in the end game. We also got a trophy for collecting 40 different notes, which are collectibles that can be found in the overworld. The next trophy that I decided to tackle was for clearing 20 dungeons. There are 2 types of dungeons in Palworld. The first one is a cave and the second one is a boss sigil. So the cave dungeons look like a hole in the wall and you can usually just find them on the sides of cliffs. When you walk up to it, it'll ask if you want to enter the dungeon, and when you do enter, it kind of just spits you into a cave where there's many different rooms, and you have to make your way to the final room where the boss fight is. It's pretty easy to get lost in these dungeons because there's a lot of rooms, but you'll know you're in the final room when there's a big tree and then the boss. Once you kill the boss, you can advance to the very final room where there will be 2 purple chests waiting for you and then the portal to let you leave. Like I mentioned before, the next type of dungeon is the boss dungeon. Similar to the cave dungeon, you just walk right up to it and enter. When you get in, it's usually just a boss and some minions. Sometimes it can just be the boss, but the easiest way to get this trophy for clearing 20 dungeons is to literally just do one of these boss dungeons 20 times. Now they usually do take some time to reset, but there's plenty around the map. While I was farming those dungeons, I also caught this really awesome pal. He's like a mushroom. His name is Shroomer. I just thought he was super cute. He's like a green dinosaur mushroom. And then there was a meteorite falling from the sky, which is a rare event that happens only every 3 hours. And I was able to catch this cool alien looking pal named Xenovader. And yeah, I just thought he was really cool. All right. Time to get back on track. So do you guys remember how we beat all 6 tower bosses earlier? Well, now there's another trophy to beat them all over again on hard mode. After you beat all 6 of them for the first time, when you walk up to a tower again, it will give you the option to challenge the tower on hard mode. In order to properly prepare for this hard mode, I decided I needed a new weapon, so I crafted this rocket launcher, which was insanely OP, and it did the job. As soon as you start the hard mode, there's a minion now that shoots you as soon as you start, and the boss has way more health. But with my new rocket launcher, I was able to kill this minion with 1 hit. Each boss was noticeably harder on hard mode, and they did way more attacks to me now. I'm not going to show all 6 fights because that would be way too much, but I was able to chip away at their health with the rocket launcher, and after the 6th one, we got the trophy, Champion of Palpagos Island. Now we were in the home stretch, and there were only a few more trophies for us to go after. The next 3 trophies that we got were for summoning and defeating these boss monsters. So these monsters are considered raid monsters, and you can summon them all at your base, and then it's basically just like a giant boss fight that you and your pals can take on. The first step in being able to summon these monsters, or pals I should say, is to build a summoning altar at your base. Once you have that built, you can walk up to it and interact with it to place an item inside of it. The item that you need in order to summon the raid bosses are called slabs. Now there's a slab for Bellinor, Bellinor Libero, and Blazamut Ryu. In order to get these slabs, you have to collect 4 slab fragments and then craft them into one big slab. There's 2 different ways to find these slabs, and the first one is from endgame dungeons. The treasure chests can contain them, but then also the wildlife areas at the endgame, which is what I'm doing here, have chests, and you can sometimes just hunt for them. Now, the best way to prepare for these raids is to summon a crap ton of pals at your base. That way they can help you out with it. So I went ahead and summoned Bellinor, killed her fairly easily and got the trophy. Then I got the trophy for killing the Bellinor Libero and the Blazamut Ryu. I don't have the highlights from the full fights because I didn't record the full fights, but both of those fights were really hard as both of the bosses had like 1 million health and they barely took any damage when you hit them, so it definitely took some time. The really cool part about these fights is that when you beat them, they all drop an egg, which you can then incubate, and it actually gives you that pal where you could use them on your team and to fight and everything. With only 2 more trophies remaining until we get the platinum, it was finally time for me to take on the hardest trophy in the game, the oil rig. The oil rig is the hardest content in the game. It is an endgame location that has level 55 humans with guns that can kill you, and it has 12 normal chests, and then it has 1 giant chest, and this trophy pops when you unlock that giant chest. Now, the catch is that the giant chest that pops the trophy, it can be located randomly out of 1 of 4 locations, so it can be hard to find. To properly prepare, I brought my Gale Claw so I can glide, 2 Jet Dragons just in case if one dies, and 2 Gobfins, 1 for extra attack and 1 for extra defense. So to get to the oil rig, I started at the fast travel that was closest to it, and then we'll fly there. Time to throw Jet Dragon out and go. So I actually really messed up my first attempt. I did not dodge the lasers properly, and I instantly got my first Jet Dragon killed. This was a huge mistake, but luckily I brought a second Jet Dragon. I hopped right back on him, and this time I actually dodged all the lasers properly. So right here when you first get in, you're going to want to shoot a rocket launcher because there's a guard with a big machine gun, and he will mess you up if you don't kill him. So I killed him right there. And then I'm failing to drop down right here. I'm just instantly freaking messing up this run. But here is chest number 1. It's a purple chest, so that does not pop the trophy. And then I checked this second hut because this is a location where the big chest can spawn, but it was not there. So I prepared to leave that area, and I actually somehow got my second jet dragon killed, which I don't even remember doing, but I guess I just really suck. So I was on my feet for this whole run, which I was kind of nervous about. But I have my assault rifle and we're headed towards the second chest right now, which is inside of this crate right here. I got stuck to the wall, but bam, grab the second chest, keep moving. I have these turrets firing at me everywhere. So I kind of just, my strategy was to kind of just keep gliding. That way I don't like just stay in one place like a sitting duck and take a bunch of damage. The alarms were going off, as you can hear in the background, and the place where the second chest could spawn, or the big chest, its second location where it could spawn, is right on top of this building to the right of me. So I was trying to make my way up there, but I got this small crate first instead. And I was kind of panicking, so I didn't really know how to get up there, but I decided to just climb the side right here. I just took my time, and then this giant dude with a freaking giant machine gun approached me, but I just rocket launched him and it took care of all of those guys. And lucky me, the chest was not in there. So now it's time to check the next spot, which can be under here. And I knew that there was one small chest under here, which is this purple one. So that's our third small one. And these chests drop a lot of great endgame rewards. Like if you're trying to craft stuff and endgame materials, endgame weapons, endgame, whatchamacallit, gear, like, you know, metal, armor and everything, this is the place you want to farm. So fast forward, and I still have not found my big chest, but I was approaching another smaller one where this giant machine gun guy is. So I shot him with a rocket launcher, took care of him with one shot, and I grabbed that small chest. Once again, we still have not found the big chest, but I spotted another small one, so I went ahead and grabbed it. Finally, after what felt like forever searching the oil rig everywhere, we spotted the big yellow chest right there behind that wall that you just saw. So I'm killing those guys and making my way over there. Once I got close to the big yellow chest, the enemies literally started jumping me like crazy. They just started stockpiling in right down this alleyway like nonstop. I would hit them with one rocket launcher and then they'd come right back. So I decided I just had to go for it. So I hid behind the chest, held the square button to open it, and man, this took forever. But it finally popped right when this pal was about to explode on me, and I got the trophy for seizing the oil rig. Phew, okay, that was hard, but it was so fun, and honestly, I got so many good materials from it. At this point, there was only one more trophy standing in the way of the platinum trophy, and that was to catch 1,000 pals. I wanted to purposefully save this trophy for last because I thought it was the most fun trophy. Also, it takes a long time to catch 1,000 pals, and also I still needed to explore so much more of the map. So I just hopped right into it. Now, this trophy took me a few hours of farming to finish up, but I caught some nightwings from above. I caught this weird looking alpaca thing that was running away from me. I also crafted this missile launcher for Relaxosaurus, which let me ride him and then shoot these missiles, which was so freaking awesome. And honestly, this game is just so cool. Like, I love this. Then I caught this awesome ice dragon named Quivern. And he actually gave me a little bit of trouble. He broke out of my ball once or twice, but in the end, we ended up getting him. Then I caught this really cool mammoth named Memorist, I guess because he's like a forest mammoth, but he is really cool, and we got him on our first ball with a legendary sphere. But then this trophy just started to take a little bit too long, so I decided to return back to the beginning of the game where the catch rates are super easy and 100%. And then it freaking happened, guys. I caught this Chickapee right here, and after it captured, the trophy popped for catching 1,000 pals, and then shortly after that, the platinum popped for completing all the trophies. If you made it this far into the video, seriously, thank you so much. I honestly don't know how to even thank you for watching 23 minutes of my content. This was my first time ever making a video like this, and I really, really enjoyed it. So if you have any feedback or constructive criticism, please feel free to leave it in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you're new. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching.